Welcome back to the Daily Living Jewish class. We are in section 61 and we've learned about how a person benches Gomel after being saved from a dangerous situation or in a number of situations. 2 days ago we spoke about the bracha one makes or special prayer that one could make by a medical procedure. Along similar lines, he says that one should wish another. The concept of bless you goes way back. If someone sneezes, you should say to him, to your health. And he answers, may you be blessed. Afterwards, he says, I hope for your deliverance, O Hashem. For whoever prays for his fellow man has his prayer answered first. I don't think that all of these prayers are made today. But we certainly do say in whatever language, zum gesund, which means to your health or whatever it is. Gerald, nice to see you here. It's been a while. Okay. Here's an important principle that you can't pray for what was. What do we mean? That's a useless prayer. What are examples? If a person hears somebody crying and he says, may it be your will that this cry should not be in my house. Right? Let's say somebody hears that there's an accident. They're like, oh no, I hope that's not my kids. So you shouldn't make a prayer, Hashem, please, I davened you that it shouldn't be, somebody that I know. Because it happened already. You can't change the past. Or if his wife has become pregnant and 40 days after her conception, he would say, may it be your will that my wife should give birth to a boy. Or the same would be if you wanted a girl. Again, you can't daven for a boy or girl because it already is one or the other. Your davening is not going to make a difference. The Gemara says for the first 40 days, a prayer can change it. But after 40 days, the gender is fixed. I don't know how it works with modern science, but that's what the Gemara says. Such prayers are useless, for what has already happened belongs to the past. However, within the 40 days, he still can. After 40 days, he could pray that the child should be a healthy baby, good in the sight of heaven and of benefit to mankind, because these things that haven't yet happened. Similarly, a person who enters his threshing floor to measure his crops, so you're walking into your business or some similar activity, you could make the prayer, may it be your will, Hashem, my God, that you send a blessing on this pile of grain. After he began to measure, he should say, blessed is he who sends a blessing on this pile of grain, without Hashem's name. If he had already measured it, and then offers a prayer, it is an in vain prayer because Hashem's blessing is bestowed only on something that is hidden from view. So if it's already there and it is what it is, then you can't pray that it's something else. Okay, and now another area of blessings. The first time a bar mitzvah is called to the Torah, after he has concluded the second bracha over the Torah reading, Baruch atah Hashem the Father says, Baruch atah Hashem Elokeinu melech haolam asher p'torani me'anshe shel or Baruch shep'torani me'anshe shel who has freed me from the punishment due to this boy. Until the boy turns bar mitzvah, the father is responsible for everything. But from this point, the boy is responsible for himself. Obviously, the father still needs to continue to educate the child, but he isn't. But the boy needs to be responsible for his actions. It is a mitzvah for a father to prepare a festive meal on the day of his son's bar mitzvah. That is on the first day of his 14th year, which would be the day of his bar mitzvah. And if the boy delivers a Torah discourse, it is considered a meal for the sake of a mitzvah. And even if banquet is not given on the day of the bar mitzvah. So by the bar mitzvah, by sharing words of Torah, that turns it into not just an ordinary meal, but it's a mitzvah meal, even if it isn't on the actual day of his bar mitzvah. So that's the source for making a bar mitzvah celebration beyond getting an aliyah by the Torah. And finally, regarding droughts. The prophets have said when a drought occurs, even in our areas where it rains with seasonal regularity and where droughts are rare, if this drought was so severe that it caused general distress, and then it finally rains, the rain comes down so heavily that bubbles are formed on the ground, on the flowing rain water that seems to converge, special brachas should be recited. What bracha should be said? Someone who does not own a field, so you're not as affected by the drought, would say, we thank you, Hashem, O Hashem, for every drop of rain that you have made fall on us. And even if our mouths were full of song as the sea. And he continues with that whole section borrowed from the davening, in the Shabbos morning davening. And to sanctify and declare your sovereignty of your neighbor, Hashem. Blessed are you, Hashem, God of many thanksgiving and praises. If he owns a field, in partnership with another Jew, we'd say the bracha hatayva hametiv that we learned about for good news, in partnership. If he has no Jewish partner, even if he has family, he would say the bracha of shechiyado. The bracha hatayva hametiv and shechiyado maybe said, even if you do not see the rain, but you hear it coming down, but the bracha moedim anachnu should only be said if you actually see the rain. Now these final brachas that he spoke about, rain after drought, I'm not sure if they're recited again today. We are on the side of caution, but that it brings us to the end of all the laws of. No, we have one more section. No, that brings us to the end of all the laws of blessings. Please God, in tomorrow or in the weeks to come, we'll start a brand new section, which are laws of business.